This morning, Nigerians encourage corruption, says University of the Punch newspaper. America's Nigerian Governors Forum calls for Ogunye's
says new PDP.
Page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
The dailies every day on Core TV News.
Welcome back. It's Democracy Day today on Core Digest, and we're discussing Nigeria between 1999 and 2014. 15 years of democracy uninterrupted. And we have been joined in the studio this time around in this segment by legal practitioner JITI OGUNYE. You're welcome to our studios.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Before we went away on break, we were discussing the issue of power and Habib.
Particularly followership.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because it's an area that we cannot overemphasize, the issue of followership and governance.
Absolutely.
But power, water, roads, these are almost, you can call it almost simplistic things that Nigerians expect. 15 years down the road, after military interregnum in our lifespan as Nigeria, the journey so far, GT?
Well, let me say that we've been very, very unlucky in the sense that we didn't start with those that we ought to have started with. And we can draw parallels here. You know, during the military era, we so much wanted the military to go. At the terminal points, very sadly, the military was not humiliated out of power. So there was no break between the past that we wanted to escape from. The military went away on its own terms. The military manipulated the transition process. The person that we were agitating should come out and be a president was killed in prison. And of course, the pacification commenced, and we said, okay, let's see whether something will happen. But something was not going to happen. And the reason why something good was not going to happen was that, unlike South Africa, for example, where those who fought apartheid were the ones who inherited power and then shattered a cause. Where we had a Mandela, we didn't have that kind of situation here. You know, I respect Olusegun Obasanjo, but believe you me, Obasanjo didn't fight for a return to democracy. He was a victim. I was the Secretary General of a human rights organization, CDHR, between 1995 and 1999, when Obasanjo was arrested. And we had a lot of internal debate whether he should be the beneficiary of our campaign. We resolved that in his favor, and we started our victims, our Freedom Watch, our annual report on human rights situation. Everywhere we went, locally and internationally, you know, the phantom coup victims and all that. We were agitating for them and all that. He came out, became a president. So the point is that, and that point must be emphasized, we didn't start the way we were supposed to start. So either we spend 15 years or 20 or 30 years on broken return to civil rule, broken years, it won't get better. I'm not pessimistic, but I'm just telling you that if you didn't start with the right team, how can you deliver on these dividends? You're talking about power, but let me just quickly say this. And when you say this, immediately we came back now, I just reclined, and a song came to my mind. What we are discussing now, power, shelter, food, security, and all these ones. You know, in the early 80s, Fela sang a song.
What a light.
You know, that's a problem. And in your news, you're talking about the litany of why we can't perform by PCN or the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The Benin power line is bad, the Akungba one is not okay, the Western one, you know, that's what you listen to every day. Excuses for non-performance. And so for me, we need to understand that unless we reinvent governance, unless we rediscover governance, unless we want to make sincere leadership the epicenter of the governance arrangement, we're not going to make progress. I'm sorry, we're not going to make progress. In a lot of ways, we can see that, and I just give you an example, and I yield, Flo. We're so concerned about what is going on in the Northeast. And people are proffering solutions, you know, Boko Haram.
Should we not?
And all that. But we ought to be very concerned. In fact, we cannot be too concerned. But the point is that, what do you think is responsible for military desertion that we're witnessing now? What do you think is responsible for mutiny? What do you think is responsible for people not willing to fight? What do you think is responsible for military budget not being delivered, not living to deliverables that you can see in terms of kitting, in terms of payment, in terms of emolument, and so on and so on? What do you think is responsible? The armored tank that you see, think that, you know, Boko Haram is, where do you think they buy it from? They didn't buy it from anywhere. When they storm our barrack, they go away with certain things. You media people are reporting this.
Yes, now, of course.
And they drive this away, and these are the things they are using to come and attack us. So the point is that, as it is said, he said, things fall apart. The center cannot hold. The anarchy is losing upon the world. If you are a major, if you're a captain, if you are deployed to lead troops, that could possibly lead to your martyrdom, fighting for state. And you live in a country where politicians, and I'm not going to be particular, be they in the house, be they a governor that's giving himself 100 million now, medical allowance, you know, even making allowance for his spouse, if the spouse were to survive and all that, as if we elected the two of them together in Akwa Ibom State. If you live in that kind of a country, why won't patriotism die in your heart?
Habib, let me come just before we, you know, buttress more on that.
Yeah.
There's a common phrase people use in this climb to qualify and explain the anomalies rather, in our democracy and our society. They call it the Nigerian factor. What is the Nigerian factor, and how has it impacted thus far on the evolution of the civilian rule?
That is a terrific question. Fine question. Let me just move corollary to what JITI has been saying. You know, and I agree with him. I agree with him in facto and in toto. As we used to say in school then. You see, once the structure is wrong, there's no way you can have a leeway. You know, as you said, we did not, what we voted for, in other words, we did not, the structure that we inherited from the military was not the one we chose. You know, it's the one that the military wanted to give us. That, okay, what do you want? Release the man from prison. Is the one we want. That was even before then. Let me give you a small secret. When the president was released from prison and given the presidential treatment, the late HABIB called the media executives to VI. And listen very well. I'm giving you a secret and can confirm. Called the media to VI for a dinner. The MDs of media houses, that the military is interested in this transition. And that cannot allow the thing to just be to be on autopilot.
To be thrown open.
Absolutely. We are interested.
It was a guided return to the civil rule.
Absolutely. Just to confirm what they said, to validate it. That we want Obasanjo to take over Abu Salami. You know, the late HABIB, or it was my MD was there, my late MD was there, that they told me the story. And that was, we want to make an Obasanjo another Mandela. That was their plans. that the man has suffered, he has enough experience, and coming from prison now, she should be a new person to take us to the next level. You know, I even never knew that Batanjo will be working with the same structure, the same template. So to answer your question, it is this same template that is this consisting. Is why the Nigerian factor will always be there. It's why the Nigerian factor will always resonate. Somebody said one time, and he was crucified, that bring a Jesus Christ to head this structure in Nigeria, he cannot perform any miracle.
That was the same Obasanjo?
Can't perform miracle. He's been there. He knows it. You know, a structure that will not allow your best level to be in charge. You have go to World Cup now to meet the World Cup in Brazil. You are going with our best. They've given Keshi that leverage. Go and pick your best and represent Nigeria. But when in terms of governance, you don't pick your best.
Are you saying categorically?
No, I'm telling you, it is structure that brought about the kind of matter. This man was the governor in Bayelsa State. Look at the
deputy governor.
Look at the way it happened.
1999.
The primaries was manipulated by the same Obasanjo. Because it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. In some countries, even Thailand, this Thailand, the ruling class decided that yes, we have our own interest, but our interest must be subservient to the national interest. And they decided that okay, our best must be in charge. But in Nigeria, the Nigerian factor, which is the same structure we are talking about, have prevented the best person to be in charge, and that's why we are on a cycle.
JITI, how can we write this structural deformity we are talking about?
It's complicated right now.
Aha.
We are very complicated. I'm telling you, if we had attempted it in the past, maybe it would have been easier. But it's very complicated now. What is the complication here? We have a sitting president who is from the Ijaw ethnic nationality, who is from the South-South geopolitical zone, who is a Christian, who is a first-term president, and who, from what we can see, aspires to go for a second term. In the North, you have those who think that they have the birthright to always be in the driver's seat, and who are angry that they've been out of political power at the center for too long, who realize that the occupancy of that political power at the center for years before now was what was used to restructure the Nigerian state from what it was in 1966 up to 1999. Multiple creation of states, multiple creation of local government, multiple creation of all sorts of agencies, which merely are sinecures for the boys, just for people to go in there and cooling their feet and be earning money without working. They know all this. And so they're desperate to go back to that political power. Now add to this dilemma what is going on in the Northeast. It's a full-blown war.
Would you say?
It's a war.
Yes, sir.
It's a full-blown war. And we're now looking up to the international community to come and help us. We're looking to, during the Obasanjo years, Nigerians were very boastful that, look, Bakassi cannot go. We'll deal with Cameroon. Cameroon has just enlisted about 1,000 to help protect our border. To help us. They didn't need to move their people to the north, but they are saying they passed Benin Republic in the spirit of the meeting we had in LIC France.
Yes.
To now give us some troops again. So that situation is that precarious. So that is the context in which you are now asking me to talk about what we need to do about this structure. How can we bring this ideal situation about? Now, a demonstration of how complicated the matter is what is going on in the Nations Conference. Very small issues. They are not even fundamental. Let's have the state police, let's have this. These are being resisted by those who have been produced by this system that had been distorted, i.e., an Inspector General of Police. Abacha is Inspector General of Police. Why do you think that they will not want that structure to be preserved? A unitary police in a supposed federal Nigeria.
Yeah.
Section 214 to 216, 217 of the Constitution provide that we must only have one police force in Nigeria. Why do you think that we won't want that kind of structure to be intact? So that tomorrow, some of the people that they had, by nepotism, brought into the system will be the one that will be catapulted to become the IG. That's the mindset. So, but something has to give. Something will give, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And I say it is better to have a structured restructuring, an orderly restructuring, a peaceful restructuring, than to have a forced restructuring. What do I mean? There is population migration now, movement from one part of the country to the other. So, yes, your constitution said that you have the right to freedom of movement, but in reality, you cannot exercise that right any longer.
Yes.
You want to travel now to, I have a case in Abuja, say, Emma Rorao, I'm telling you, in closet, people are even saying, even here in Lagos, that, that mall, the people it's too crowded. Don't go there. I'm telling you. So, and when a country is on that kind of precipice, it takes people that are smart and reasonable and rational at the time of affairs to help pull back their country from the brink. Unfortunately, I can't see any attempt in that direction. What I can see is people still behaving like an ostrich. Still thinking that, is it not this power? We can do everything to get this power. If you give me, and I'm being sincere, this national television, I'm being sincere, I won't be a happy man running a country like this. I won't be a president that everybody is abusing it. Knowledge gives confidence, not arrogance.
Indeed.
And so, a wife of the former president of the United States talking down on us, McCain is abusing us. They just portraying the black man as a dunderhead, somebody who doesn't know nothing. We're not like this. We are the best.
Of course, in Africa. In the world.
We've been brought to our knees now, and I'm telling you, continue to run the ritual of election. That won't solve the problem of this country.
You have not answered what will solve it, because we're looking
what
for
will
that.
Solve it?
Yes.
What will solve it is simple. We agreed to have a federal state when the British left. That federal state is no longer a federal state now. So we must sit down to restructure that state. We must. It's a necessity to restructure. And when you do that, you then give back responsibility to the people. I often say this. When you have a system that says that money be taken by the federal government, and that states that are created all over, like atomized structure, over time, 3 regions, 4 regions have now become 36 states. Between HABIB and Abacha, they created 17 out of these 36 states.
Yes.
So, now, when you have that kind of a system that says every month you must go and get money and come back and spend it, there's a disconnect. People think that the money they are stealing is not their money. Why do you think that before introducing free education, as good, as lofty as it was, he was resisted by farmers, and they had to go to the farms? It's for your own interest too. This marketing board we are creating, that will be an intermediary between you and those that will be buying. They will be fixing price because the farmer resisted it. And said, why should there be a marketing board that should be fixing prices? He said, no, we need to do that so that we can be getting some shillings and all that to fund this free education. So people say, hey, is that so? Say yes. Okay, you're making sense. Why do you think that there's the Agbekoya revolt? But now there can't be that kind of revolt because people think that this money is all money, so they spend it and all. So you must therefore restructure to ensure that people generate their resources from within, They contribute the agri share to the center for running our common affairs, and then that kind of money that is home generated, God helps you if you want to steal that kind of money. He will pass on you and deal with you. So when you do that, what I'm saying is that you need to use the instrumentality of restructuring to deepen democracy. You cannot deepen democracy with this kind of structure. In fact, they are almost antithetical.
Okay. Or like May 27, Habib, which was Children's Day, it was beclouded with a lot of sober reflection because of the abducted Chibok girls. 29th of May, federal government decided that we're going to celebrate and we're going to take this time out to talk about the achievements of this administration. Proponents of the achievements of democracy are of the opinion that in the past 15 years, we've enjoyed some economic boom, privatization of public assets, and then people can express their opinion more freely, especially what we're doing now, freedom to, speech and all of that. And Nigeria recently rebased its economy, and we're talking about the largest economy in Africa. But there's this school of thought that probably Nigerians are being impatient to compare our 15 years of democracy with other gray-haired democracies of the world. Would you agree that in 15 years we are faring well, relative to opinions from some quarters?
I think we have been dealing with the contest. Maybe I can deal with the pretext. We've analyzed the context here of why people consider to get to the promised land. But there's something that you said before I answer your question. He said something must give way. But the thing was being circumspect, in the way he was looking at it. Something must give way. There are two options. Either the politicians come to their senses and come to the table and restore this country, or people will take over. I'm telling you, how do we call it in Yoruba? Ball, yes, ball. So you see, that's why you not say, because it will happen. It will happen here. It has happened in some climes. Then to your question, I don't think we are celebrating democracy. There was a normal, routine presidential speech which the man made, and I said, clouded by this increasing insecurity in the country. Anybody celebrating what? And as I said, even though there is something to smile about, the country has been rebased, and that rebasement has not been questioned by anybody. Even the world economists acknowledge it. There has been some maybe space for us to views. As JITI is saying now, if you talk like this in military, military, by now some guys be waiting out there, and people can express themselves.
Yeah, don't forget about the World Economic Forum too that came to
themselves. But all in all, is the fact that the future is very gloom. The future is gloom. I can't see a future. Just put the scenario of not having power upon another $52 billion have been spent on it. Yes, the sector has been privatized, but how far can they go? We are paying more now to what we are entitled to pay before they came, and they are not putting any structure on ground. They are only making noise. They are accumulating, complaining that we never did this thing was that bad. So I'm not too comfortable. even though some people equate democracy to elections, but I'm not comfortable about the future of this country.
JITI, the government has spent 300 billion naira on in the last 2 years, supposedly, on renovation and reconstruction of roads in Nigeria. And that may have brought some relief to Nigerians, you will say, if they hear that kind of amount. But they have also been a sort of drain pipe on the nation's treasury, on the prohibitive cost of having a good road, because which in the nation today would you say is a good road?
There are a number of things. The first is that road construction as part and parcel of infrastructure in a modern state is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. Roads are meant to take goods, services, and human beings from one point
To the other.
And in the course of also providing those roads, employment is also supposed to be created.
Indeed.
Expertise and know-how in road construction is supposed to be done. Don't you find it strange that 50-something years, 54, after our flag independence, Chinese, Koreans, Egyptians are coming out to construct roads? Don't you find it very strange? So, and they come and they say that yes, China is, they celebrate this. China is coming to invest in Africa as part of the World Economic Forum that you're talking about. How many times do we take our people overseas to say that they want to come and invest in those people's economy? Do you think that people come to you to invest in your economy because they want to help you? No, that's not my own knowledge of economics.
At all.
They come here principally to make profit.
That's right.
Even in the telecoms industry, people go as far as bringing masks from outside to come and mount here.
When we have...
Exactly, where you can fabricate this. So the point is that, yes, there's a blight. Here, we say we want to construct roads and we award these humongous contracts. Recall that there was a tarmac that was to be done in Abuja. That terrible contract was awarded. And people were saying, how could you award this contract? And then on that occasion, people shouted, and then the contract was withdrawn and cancelled. Contract award has become a bazaar. Look, be it in the United States, Britain, wherever, cite examples. Nigeria probably will be the only country where the most serious aspect of governance at the level of the Executive Council of the Federation, UCF, they call it Federal Executive Council. The Constitution says Executive Council of the Federation is every Wednesday. They're so serious. And they start awarding contracts. Sometimes they award contract of 1 billion.
I'm on that.
So more than that now. No. As low as that, it's low as and all that. And they award these contracts and all. And people have been telling them, why do you need to do that? Why don't you focus on, for example, we're having problems everywhere. Education, health, whatever. How many sections of the Executive Council of the Federation have been dedicated to briefing? You bring in people from that sector, come and brief, and you sit down for a whole day, lock yourself up.
ASUP is on trial. ASUP. 11 months after.
But what do they do? Yes, and then the Minister of Information will come and brief. So the Federal Executive Council today awarded so much contracts and all that. We are doing everything. This road will be delivered and so on and so on. So yes, road construction is good. But as I've argued, it has to be part and parcel of the economy of a country. We want Nigerians to be able to make, you want Nigerians to be able to make roads, and so you see, if these bridges you can't do them, because I hate to accept that Nigerians do not have the expertise to do. And then when you go to this road construction site, what do you see? You see a yellow skin, not necessarily a white man, guy with his helmet who drive there, in his healers box, just look at them, take a map and say, okay, it's okay. And then do nothing, and then goes back. Those who are doing the work on the ground are black folks. That is our country. And so, for me, you need to integrate all these processes.
No doubt the issues are exhaustive. I mean, we can sit down here and talk about them from morning to night. That, of course, will bring us to the issue of corruption, the growing culture of corruption and impunity in Nigeria. But please let me stay with you for a while. You're a legal practitioner. How has judiciary fared in our democracy for 15 years? And let's put a little spot search on political assassination. There are about 50 of them since independence in Nigeria. Now, the most shocking for me growing up as a Nigerian is this Chief Justice of this nation who was assassinated. The Attorney General who was assassinated. And as we speak today, the judiciary has not been able to bring that case to an end. What is wrong with that arm of government?
No, quickly, there are three arms of government. The legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. By the principle of separation of powers and checks and balances, there is a kind of working together amongst these three arms. In any society, the judiciary cannot be an island of performance, an island of success, an island of integrity, corruption-free, and all that. In an ocean of all these vices. And so, if you ask me how the judiciary is fared as you've asked me, I'll tell you that the judiciary has not fared the way we have wanted it to fare. And I'm saying this as a lawyer. But sadly, there are non-judicial factors that impact on health or ill health, if you will, of the judiciary, much more than the acts of the players themselves. For example, a judge is supposed to be incorruptible. In an election cycle, you then have politicians bringing huge money to corrupt judges. Yes, judges are supposed to reject this money. Those that have been found not to reject the money they were offered have been sent out of the bench. For example, the Akwa Ibom election petition in 2004, about 5 judges were voted off. Court of Appeal justices, 2 of them were also sent home. And recently, we've seen that happen. And I've given this comparison. Between 1999 and now, many judges have been dealt with and been shown the way out. How many governors have been impeached for corruption by the legislative arm? How many legislators have been sanctioned that their members say that you are no longer fit to be here? We know that your constituent voted for you, but we cannot sit with you here. You will tarnish our image. So go. Your constituent can go and elect another person in the by-election, but you can't sit here with us. How many have been so disciplined? So, in spite of the fact that I have stated that the judiciary has not fared as we wanted it to fare,
how
in comparative terms,
in your opinion, do you think that the Nigerian judiciary is, as we're speaking, how independent
the judiciary is? The judiciary is not independent.
As it's supposed to be?
Yes, it's not for 2 reasons. One, the Constitution, 1999 Constitution has an innovation, unlike the other Constitution, that the budgetary allocations to the judiciary must be given to the heads of the judiciary to secure the financial independence of the judiciary. Because once the financial independence is not guaranteed, then you can't even be talking about independence.
Yeah.
But you know what has happened at the state level all over? The state government will take this money, they will not yield this money to the heads of the judiciary, which occasioned a case recently that Mr. Aliza Agbakoba, Senator of Nigeria, fired, which has just been decided in court. So the financial independence has not been there. Second, the mode of appointment of judges does not insulate the judiciary, from manipulation. And so that also undercuts the independence that we're talking about. For example, and we said this, even as recently as yesterday, we were discussing this as a forum. When you want to appoint judges, what do you have? You don't have an open process that is thrown to the lawyers, to the bar. Say, open application, apply. All qualified, suitably qualified candidates should apply. So we shortlist them and then we assess them. No, what happens is that individually they will be looking for people, friends, cronies. Come, bring your wife. We can make you make her a judge. And so they do all this, manipulate the process, and then call on the bar. These are the people. Have your input. So, and the bar that is supposed to kick and say, what input? This is not ideal. We then say, okay, this one we know him. This one is just coming from England. He shouldn't come and be practicing here. And then they send the name to the NJC. NJC consider it, and then they become judges. So when you have that process, you can't be talking about, not to even talk about elevation. When you talk about elevation, you within the judiciary, within the establishment. So you are not going to have a radical judiciary. Within the establishment, somebody has been a judge all the way, and then up to the apex level is within. So the days of having an Elias from outside the judiciary, being appointed as a professor of law and living there to go to the Hague has gone. So insofar as you have that kind of say, and some large pool of jurists or judges thinking that we are judges, so nobody, no outsider should go to the apex court, for instance, or court of appeal. You know, I think that they find it strange for a professor of law to be appointed to the court of appeal now, straightforwardly. You know, like you know, some people, you know, happen in the past. Some of them that have shown that exhibited the qualities of good jurists. Some say that they later went back, you know, had that kind of tradition. Nikitobi, professor of law, dean of the faculty of law, University of Maiduguri, and all that. And then when you read his judgment, you can see that
indeed we know we cannot exhaust
see that
all of what we have to discuss Nigeria between 1999 and 2014, but it's been democracy day all the same, and we know that this nation, whether we like it or not, must survive, whether together or the other way. We must survive as a nation, better together. Well, I want to say a big thank you to you, JITI OGUNYE, for being our guest, as well as HABIB HARUNA for coming. We hope when next we call on you, you will oblige.
Yeah, pleasure.
Nifemi, as we round up.
Yeah, no man, Abraham Lincoln said in 1854, is good enough to govern another man without that other person's consent.
Absolutely.
And it is this consent that we celebrate 15 years of democracy in Nigeria. We can only hope and pray that it gets better. We'd love to hear from you, and all you need to do is comment on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Core TV News, as well as Twitter at Core TV News NG. You can watch this edition of Core Digest on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Core TV _ News.
This is where we call it a day. We'll see you in the morning. I am Sheyi Martins. God bless you.
Nigerians continue to
the city of Lagos waits at dark as all routes.
Be the first to know from the north, south, east, west and around Africa. We break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV.
A 24-hour news station.